All right, y'all. So today is all about decoding $40 million short-term rental revenue and really what's working across 1,000 listings that we're working on with our revenue management. So before we dive into this, I got a question for you guys. What is the hardest part about revenue management in your short-term rental business right now? Let me know what are some of the most challenging experiences that you're having in your business when it comes to revenue management. I'm kind of curious to see where you guys are at. Let me know how many listings you're currently working with. Do you have one listing? Do you have 1,000 listings? What's your biggest struggle when it comes to revenue management? Setting rates, knowing whether or not I'm leaving money on the table, 10 listings. By far, that's the number one biggest concern that we see is the unknown of how much money we're actually leaving on the table or not. Setting rates, balancing rates with occupancy. George, totally makes sense. Sunny has two listings, balance with rate and occupancy, optimizing the nightly rate. So, look, we see very common challenges. One thing that we see quite often is the number one challenge with revenue management is just the unknown, right? It's the missed opportunities of your listings. You're reviewing your last month's performance and you see competitors in your marketplace with similar listings out earning what you're generating and just have no idea why. You have somewhat of a pricing strategy in place, but it's not dialed in and it's not driving the results that you're expecting, right? Like if there's a big event that's coming to town, why is it that certain listings make more money than others, even though they're compared when it comes to, reviews and the quality of the listings, right? Some of the other common challenges that we see is what we call owner dread, right? It's if you're a property manager, getting that phone call from the owner of asking why is our revenue down 5, 10, 15% compared to last year, and not really understanding why or how to explain that. Or maybe you're an investor or have investors and they want to really understand what is happening to our investment. Why are we down from last year? It seems like revenue is struggling. What's going on? What we're seeing in a lot of our markets around the country, around the world, is seasonal struggles, right? During peak season, we're thriving. And if you're in a market that gets hit with seasonality, understanding how to manage your pricing strategy to really make sure that you're not struggling during these times. What we see often is that hosts, when they're coming up on their seasonal times, they just drop prices, they just slash prices, and they just kind of hope for the best, right? And then also it drives into over analyzing the pricing tool, competitor rates, occupancy rates, last year's numbers, all the things. There's valuable insights inside these tools, but it can get super overwhelming and complex for a lot of people. At the end of the day, a lot of people, when it comes to their revenue management, are just making gut decisions. Drop in the chat here. I'm curious, which ones are you guys resonating with the most? We have, you're just overwhelmed with the data on revenue management tools to understand what's happening. Or maybe like during your low season, you're not too sure what to do with your pricing strategy. Or you get those calls and you're just not sure how to communicate to the owners of why your pricing is down or your revenue is down. Or you see big opportunities being missed in your market and you're not sure why. Your properties look good, you got good reviews, but for some reason you're missing out on revenue. Which ones are you guys experiencing right now? Thomas, good seeing you, man. Analysis by paralysis, 100%. Anybody else? Yeah, we see that quite often. Missing out on revenue, Gabriel. Yeah. So we see these common threads, but the number one thing we see is not knowing how much money we're leaving on the table by having a poor revenue management strategy. The top 1% of operators in this space are relentless with optimizing, while others are getting squeezed out with lack of revenue management. The worst part about this whole thing is leaving money on the table and not knowing if your pricing strategy is actually working or not. What we're going to learn here today, what we're going to get into is three main things, three main mindset shifts, right? Our goal here today is kind of share with our community, share with the industry the three things that we're noticing when we start working with clients, the top 1% of operators in the space, and kind of helping them implement these strategies into their business, what the mindset shifts need to be to start driving revenue in their business. So what we're going to go through here today is show you how to focus on the right things to grow revenue and reclaim your time. Number two is how to capitalize on high season to get the best results when demand is at its highest. And then number three, and to me, the most important, is really flipping the script on what's possible during your slow season. Okay, so with creative new strategies, we're going to show you how to unlock new revenue within your slowest times. And we're going to share some examples of how we did this with a couple of short-term rental operators in different markets. And it's super powerful. We have a client in Wisconsin who has generated over 325% more last month than previous years. During their slowest season, they've generated an incredible amount of revenue through this strategy. Very excited about that. So before I get too deep into it, let me introduce myself. I know some of you are brand new to our list here, so welcome. My name's Eric. I'm with Freewyld. This is our boutique hotel company. We also have a company called Freewyld Foundry, where we do revenue management for short-term rental operators. So we actually implement this into businesses all around the world. But first, we're operators, right? I've been in the journey for nearly 10 years. And I've managed over 100 listings in the arbitrage and management model. Now we're expanding our boutique hotel business and cabin business around Southern California. My business partner, Jasper, he's our lead revenue manager. So this is his brainchild of how he drives revenue across 1,000 listings and manages that $40 million in annual bookings. At the end of the day, we're operators serving operators. We test all of this on our properties first. We then bring it to our clients. Once we get real results with our clients, then we tap into our passion of teaching and sharing. That's why we do these trainings. This is all coming from experience. This is all coming from real life. And we're going to share some real life examples. So what we're going to be looking into is what the top 1% of operators are doing differently with their revenue management, and share with you the top 20%, the critical 20% that drives 80% of the results. By the end of this training, you'll know the three key mindset shifts required to drive a seven-figure short-term rental business and really take control of your revenue management. That's our goal, is to share with you the exact blueprint that is working for us and that you can implement to become dominant leaders in your market space. Now, one thing that we love to do, I know a few of you have been on some of our webinars before, we love to give something for free at the end of this training. So stick all the way to the end. We have a free bonus for you guys. It doesn't really matter if you're just getting started or if you have a seven-figure plus short-term rental business. What we have for you guys is going to impact your revenue management dramatically. Where this is coming from, Jasper, he's been in the space for a long time. We've helped thousands of hosts either through the podcast or through our coaching programs, through Overnight Success. All of this is coming from a place of experience. And one thing that I've noticed over the last 10 years is the short-term rental industry has changed multiple times. But right now, I believe we're going through one of the biggest changes I've ever experienced in the short-term rental space over the last 10 years. Not only is it important, as we all know, to have great short-term rentals, beautiful properties, have great customer service, we have to do the professional cleanovers. Like, we all know the basics of how to run a short-term rental business. But one of the biggest changes that we're seeing right now is that revenue management needs to become one of the most important aspects of your business. It's as important as turning over your listings, right? It's as important as having 24/7 customer service, right? We now have to see and really kind of take control of revenue management in our business. Either you as the owner becoming a qualified revenue manager driving revenue every day in your business, or you're outsourcing it or putting the right people in the right seats to drive it. The game has changed. There's no more listing your properties on a pricing tool and forgetting it. Those days are over. We have to now have real strategies to compete with all the competition that's coming in and really outperform. Okay, so my hopes here today is that we're going to share with you our system of what we call the Cashflow mastery system, that you take this mindset, implement it into your business, and start getting real results. I'm really excited about this. This is our process. This is what we implemented in Freewyld. This is what we implement in our clients. portfolios across 1,000 listings. And we're seeing some dramatic results. We're seeing 20, 30, 40, 50% increase in revenue by not doing anything else other than implementing a real revenue management strategy. I'm excited about sharing the results with you guys as well. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, let's understand where you guys are currently at in your short-term rental journey. So let's identify the short-term rental stage that you're currently at. As I go through this, if you resonate with something, just drop it in the chat like, hey, I'm a side hustle host, a hectic host, or a scaling host. But let me break it all down for you so it makes sense. Number one is what we call the side hustle host. All right. And this is all important for me to share this with you guys so you can understand what you need in your business when it comes to revenue management and when you need to take control or when you need to put somebody in that seat to drive it. Okay. So first is a side hustle host. This is someone that's really getting started. You have maybe 1 or 2 listings. You may or may not be doing it full time. You're in that learning phase, figuring it all out. You're not sure if you're going to be driving this as a real business or going all in. Stage number 2 is what we call the hectic host. This is where we see most of the people that come to our webinars and trainings, they're really stuck in this hectic host stage, right? Tom understands the hectic host for sure. The hectic host stage is you're established, you're making upwards of $1 million or less. You have a handful of listings, you're building a team, but you're really the CEO wearing multiple hats. You have a pricing tool, but you're not fully optimized. You're not confident with it. You know, pricing and revenue management's important, but you're not really the expert in your business yet. You press some buttons every once in a while, but you're not really driving a real revenue management strategy. Now, stage number 3 is what we call the scaling host. You've crossed that $1 million mark and you have real momentum in your business. You have a real team. You're laser focused on growing your business and you're really doubling down on expansion. Now, this is when you really start focusing on how to pour gas on the fire and expand your business. You're looking at how to expand revenue management and other departments in your business. Why don't you guys drop a comment here so I know where you're at. Jake is the hectic host, side hustle host, but definitely not hitting near 100K. That's all good. Hectic host, Tamara. Yeah, sweet. So we're all in that stage. John, good seeing you, man. He's the scaling host. So we're all in one of these stages here, right? Our goal here is to help you get through these stages and make sure that you're not getting stuck in that hectic host stage. We're going to share with you really the mindset shifts to move through these stages when it comes to revenue management and how to increase your revenue anywhere between 10 and 20, 40% by implementing real revenue management growth. So let's start with this. Shift number 1, growth levers. The first shift is really around focus and control. When you're in that side hustle host, and when you're in that hectic host, and if you're in the scaling host, you can resonate with this as well. It's you are in control of every aspect of your business and you're really controlling every detail, right? You're zeroing in relentlessly on the levers that yield the greatest results, right? We have to get you to that point, right? So the inefficient way of thinking about this is that, you know, through this statement is while this is true, that you know your properties better than anybody else and that you need to control every aspect here, including revenue management, this can turn into a limiting belief depending on where you're at in your business. As you grow, you want to focus on creating leverage in your business, right? As the owner of your business, you want to move from what we call a hectic host to that scaling host as fast as possible. And the way that we do that is releasing control of the parts of our business that create the biggest bottlenecks, right? And focus on the things that multiply your biggest results. We wanted to start here because it's really the biggest mindset shift that we see when we work with the top 1%. The top 1% really focus on massive levers to increase ROI. And revenue management in your business is one of the most important levers to pull right now to outperform everybody else in the short-term rental industry. We're seeing it across our properties. We're seeing it across all of our clients' listings. And it's really a mindset shift. If you're a scaling host, you have to understand that probably revenue management is not the best use of your time. If you're a scaling host, growing your business, you're adding more listings, hiring more people, and you want to make more money, but you're the owner who is jumping into Price Labs or Wheelhouse or whatever pricing tool that you use. You move stuff around and you notice that, like, hey, this date's not booking, so let me just drop it 5%. Or, we have an event coming up, so let's just bump up our numbers. And there's real no strategy there. That is what we call a bottleneck in revenue management, right? That's an inefficient way of approaching this. As a scaling host, your job is to either become extremely proficient at revenue management, put a very talented person who has the skill sets in that seat, or bring on a partner like us, Freewyld Foundry, that can take over that aspect. Okay. Now, if you're a hectic host or a scaling host, you need to stop shooting from your hip when it comes to revenue management, right? Most people in this stage, again, we're just kind of guessing at where your revenue needs to be, your pricing needs to be. We need to have a real strategy in place to drive real results. So let me give you a example of a mindset shift here. This is one of our clients, Garrett, one of the most incredible human beings I've ever had the chance to work with. Such a cool, talented business owner, entrepreneur. He's very analytical and good with data, but he was so stuck in the weeds. He didn't really have a strategy when it came to revenue management. But once he outsourced revenue management to us, we were able to help him get into a position where he was working on his business versus in it. So with revenue management, he was spending few hours a week in the business trying to figure it out and wasn't really driving revenue at all. We were able to help him go into the position in his business that he absolutely loved the most, which was going out and acquiring more properties and driving better guest experiences. Within 6 months, we watched him go from 32 units to 48 doors and really scale that, which was amazing to see. And now we're outperforming in his market through revenue, and he's focusing on the things that he actually wants to focus on. We have another host that we work with, Synergy Stays, who had pricing tools, but didn't really have a set strategy in how they were going to implement that. And once we brought them through our Cashflow mastery system, they very quickly added $20,000 to their business with just a few properties. They didn't have a massive business. They were in that hectic host stage, and we helped them shift their mindset. So it's very, very important that we figure out what stage you're at and then get you into a position where you become either the leader of revenue management for who's owning that seat, or you become a proficient revenue manager in your business. So the days of having a pricing tool and checking it from time to time, that's over. If you guys are currently doing that, release that and start stepping into this mindset of a scaling host. To move from a hectic host to a scale host, you must implement a cash flow mastery system. All right. Is that making sense? Drop me a comment if you're following along. You got to make revenue management a daily focus. Who here would go a couple of days without checking in on their cleaning team? Right. Like our team, like we're constantly communicating every day, all day with our cleaning team across our listings. Right. You won't go days without communicating with your guests and checking in with customer service, but hosts will go days without checking in on their pricing strategy. Now we're at a place where revenue management needs to become a daily focus and priority in your business. We have to learn from every booking that's coming in. We look at everything as a data trail. Every booking tells us a story of how our pricing strategy is working. We're constantly reviewing our pricing and promotions for all unbooked dates. We have a strategy to where every single gap date that we have, we're understanding what is going on with that date and how do we price that to fill it as best as possible. We were able to 2x our occupancy and double the market ADR with our properties Freewyld through this strategy of focusing on a daily, studying the data that comes in, so our bookings that come in, and then setting a real pricing strategy for the gap dates that are missing. Then next, what we started doing is planning for seasonal shifts, events, and any upcoming market changes. We're looking out into the future of what's happening in the marketplace, and we're increasing or decreasing our pricing based on the data that we're receiving. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. Drop me a, oh yeah, I want to make sure you guys are live and chugging along. Gabriel, thank you. Love it. Gabriel's on it. And then of course, lastly is really understanding where you stand compared to the rest of the market, right? This is very, very important to understand. John, thank you. Jake, thank you. Revenue management is now as important to your business as customer service, turnover, positive reviews, all the things that we focus on as operators every day. Revenue management, regardless if you have one or if you have 100 listings, needs to be your focus every day. So we have to up level your skill set and your knowledge. I want you guys to imagine what becomes possible for your business once you start implementing this. What does this make possible? Are you expanding your business? Are you driving more revenue without adding any more doors? Just because we're in business and make money doesn't mean that we have to go get more keys, more doors. We have plenty of people that come to us to say, hey, I want to make more money, but I don't want any more listings. So we help them make these shifts so we can increase revenue without adding any more responsibility. That would be freaking awesome. I'm just curious for you guys, like, what excites you the most? What would you do with an extra 20% more revenue and your time back in your business, being able to focus on the things that you really want to focus on? Boom, boom. Spend more time with my kids, Sonny. I mean, that's by far probably one of the most important things. Take more vacations. I love that. Build more cabins. Take more vacation. Purchase more rentals. Buy more properties. Let's go. Pay off debt and have more freedom. Let's go. That's amazing. We hear from our clients all the time that they go on vacation, but they're just plugged into their phone the entire time. They're doing the same thing that they do here at their office, just responding to messages and doing all these things, right? What's beautiful about learning revenue management and driving more revenue in your business, of course, you have more money. Money solves problems in your business. You can hire the people and build the systems and invest in the tools that buy you back your time so you can do the things like either buy more properties or take a vacation without having to be on your phone the whole time. This is something that we really kind of focused on with Freewyld. It's leading to this place where, as CEO, I feel super confident about our pricing strategy and our revenue management strategy. We're just outperforming the market. It's just incredible the results that we're getting for our current properties. I don't need to worry about the strategy. We check in on it and we lead it, but the team and the system and the process is working for us to where it's giving me more freedom to go out and buy properties. And today, right after this training, Kay and I and the rest of the team are making an offer on a hotel here in California to expand our business. I have the time to focus on that. And also when I sit in front of investors, I can share with them where we're currently operating with our current business. Because of this revenue management strategy that we have in place, we're able to show how our listings are outperforming the market dramatically. And we could also show how our clients across 1,000 listings are outperforming their markets. So when we go to raise money, we have to go and raise another $5 million for this hotel. We're going to be able to show with confidence that we have a real revenue management strategy in place. So the investors have confidence in us to perform well. So I just wanted to share that in real life. It gave me the freedom to focus on this, but also gives us the confidence to sit with the investors and be like, we're very clear that our strategy works and it's going to drive real results here. All right, shift number 2, dominate the high season. We have to be in a position to dominate that, right? This is where we see what separates the 1% from the rest of hosts, right? This is all about how to crush it in your high season and make more than you ever thought was possible. We see a lot of people that when they're in their high season, they just kind of go with the pace and they think that what they did last year is probably what they're going to do this year. But once they started implementing the Cashflow Mastery into their business, they started increasing revenue across their listings without making any other changes than their revenue. My pricing tool is good enough for now. This is something that we hear a lot and it drives me freaking crazy. Too many hosts think a pricing tool alone is efficient to increase or drive revenue during their high season. If you have a pricing tool and you're not an expert at that tool or revenue management, it's like buying a car, but letting it sit in the driveway. It's like going in there, turning on the engine, playing with the blinkers and the windshield wipers, but never really driving it. What's the point of having the car if you're not going out there and getting the result that you're looking for and enjoying that drive? The top 1% really focus on leveraging tools and deep expertise to get the biggest results possible. As I mentioned, revenue management has evolved. Pricing tools are just one part. It used to be when I got into the business that all you had to do is put your listings on a pricing tool, you set a couple of standards, check it every once in a while, and it will drive the best results. Those days are gone. You need expertise and daily management and what we call a bit of art and magic when it comes to crafting a revenue management strategy for your business. Either you're focused on growing your business or just optimizing your current revenue, we need to have this in place. So it's either you're the one who's driving the expertise, so meaning you as the host, the owner of your business, become a expert at revenue management, which, you know, if you're on that journey, we can support you and direct you to the right tools and the right education to do that. Or if you're in that scaling stage, you're putting the right people in the right seats to drive the results. So let's see what's possible here with really dominating your high season. If you make this mindset shift in your highest demand season, a great strategy is the difference between pacing with last year and breaking records. All of our clients that we're working with are breaking records. They're breaking records for their own portfolio and history, but then they're also breaking records within their marketplaces by doing this. None of these would have happened with pricing tools just running automatically. This all happened with us driving results. For example, on the right is Orca's map here. We see ADR growth is way over the market average. We're seeing 40% higher bookings. Orcas who came in, put the right people in place, implemented Cashflow Mastery, and started getting incredible results. Sheboygan, which is one of our favorite company names to say, one of our favorite clients to work with. They're just fun. They just implement and they're just growing. They earned a 1 week $30,000 booking, something they've never done before, because they were able to look out into the future and set the right revenue management strategy for upcoming dates, right? So they weren't just having a pricing tool that automated pricing, right? It's all the same data, but they were able to implement Cashflow Mastery strategy to generate those higher bookings, which is awesome. And then, of course, Margaret River out of Australia, we've been working with them for a while and just absolutely crushed it and made their first $1 million month, which is amazing. So this is how we do it. You got to keep in mind that high season is our Super Bowl. We have to prepare for this all year round. We have to set strategies early before demand surges and guests start booking up your calendar. We see a lot of people self-sabotaging their rates. Owners or hosts are just afraid of setting these high prices so far out because they don't want to scare away guests from booking. Our strategy is understanding when guests are actually booking, when do they want to come and stay, and letting the market dictate what we need to price those properties at. It's really, really important. So like, for example, we're in one of our slow seasons with our properties, and we're working on our high season that's coming up, and we're already getting bookings, and they're booking these properties at such a high rate, where if we just had a pricing tool here, the numbers would have been very, very low because the demand at the moment is low. But we know through our strategy and planning in advance, we know that people will be booking during these times. So we increase our bookings. We're not self-sabotaging ourselves. And it's crushing. It's freaking amazing. And you guys got to do this. Lastly, your listings need to be up to par, right? What I mean by that is during your preparation for your high season. For example, if you guys follow me on Instagram, it's Eric D. Muller on Instagram. I just posted something. We are currently going through what we call maintenance week. We do it right before our busy seasons where we shut down our properties. We bring our contractors in. We fix everything in the property. We paint. We just like optimize the entire listing. We bring new media in. We take new photos. All of that's in preparation for our high season. So our properties are ready to crush it on the revenue side and on the marketing side. These are really the three main things to think about as you go through this process. I'm curious on your side, what would it take to become the leader of your market? When you get out of your own way in high season and let revenue management work its magic, what is possible for you guys? What do you need to see for that to happen? This is really powerful stuff. One is the mindset shift. Two is positioning yourself to be an expert in the space, preparing yourself for high season, prepping your listings, and number one thing, have the confidence to price your properties at higher rates and don't cut it just out of insecurity or uncertainty. Let the market dictate what you need to do to drive higher revenue. And then you can start driving properties just like us, where we're dominating our markets. We are becoming the leaders of the markets that we're in. All right. You guys still with me? You having fun? Love it. By the way, I'm going to get to questions, so just keep dropping them here. Making notes. That's what I'd love to hear. Sweet. All right. So mindset shift number three, saving low season. Now that we know that we have to be proactive with our high season, and this is part of that video I shared on Instagram today, is that we also have to be proactive during our slow season. This business, we always have to be moving, right? We have to understand how to win in the high season, but we also have to understand how to win in the slow season. One thing that we see is shift number three, the top 1% make it is to flip the script. Like, we're going to dominate every season that we have with us. We just have to be creative in the markets and the seasons that are moving slower. Tom, great question. Dominate equals raise prices? No, not necessarily. I'll get to that here in a second. Mindset shift number three, revenue management is just about checking competitor rates and then matching them, right? Most hosts think slow season revenue management is just a race to the bottom on prices. We see this all the time. For example, when I got started in short-term rentals, I bought condos down in the Jersey Shore. I'm originally from New Jersey. So I would buy these beautiful condos on the beach in Wildwood, New Jersey. And during the summer, during our high season, we would make a ton of money. And during the slow season, the entire town would shut down. And most people would just think like, hey, this is what happens. We're going to cut our prices and it is what it is. And we just need to make any type of revenue. But the top 1% know better. They recognize that slow season takes some creative thinking through the process, right? The ones who win are the ones who think outside the box. They try new strategies and they create their own demand for their listings. So this is something that we started doing across our clients' listings that had the most seasonality in their markets, where we started thinking creatively. How do we fill our listings even when demand for the markets have completely dropped, right? And we're seeing incredible results. So for example, My Beach is one of our clients who are up over 20% this winter versus last in a highly competitive summer beach market. Another client, Sheboygan in Wisconsin, where, you don't want to be there in the winter. It's super, super cold. They just wrapped up their best January ever, and it's freaking unbelievable to see. We're about to hit another incredible month in February with them. So this is what we did here. This is how we're able to pull this off, is really by being flexible and adaptive. We're approaching slow season as an opportunity to solve a puzzle with our pricing strategies. Slow season is not business as usual. You can't just expect organic demand and tweak prices. You have to play with policy demands. You have to play with promotions. You have to get really creative with this, right? Flexibility truly will win during your slow season. So for example, length of stays are something that we're playing with now, and we're getting incredible results from this. So much so that we're all in on introducing length of stays across our entire 1,000-unit portfolio. During slow season, we want to play with discounts, but most importantly, we want to explore new guest avatars, right? So for example, those Jersey condos I was talking about, during the summertime, we would focus on families. We would have 4-bedroom condos right on the beach, and we would focus on families coming down from the East Coast all the way up to Canada, and they would just spend a lot of money to stay in these big condos with their entire family. Once winter came and the market completely just shut down, we had to switch our mindset to who we were able to rent to. So we started playing with length of stays across these listings, and we started renting to the military, right? So we're in Wildwood, New Jersey, right south of Wildwood is Cape May, and there's a big Navy and Coast Guard base that's down there. So we started renting to Coast Guard servicemen and women and playing with length of stays and discounts to fill that. So as other people were struggling to generate cash flow, we were able to kind of focus on shifting our strategy to maximize our revenue, and revenue started going up through the roof, which was amazing. And then also, slow season isn't just about revenue. It's a time to prepare for your high season, right? So any bookings that you could bring in and over deliver for during those times to get those 5-star reviews will only support you guys on driving higher revenue during high season. This is also a good time to focus on repeat guests. And then all of this is really to drive momentum on the OTAs. Unless you're completely on direct bookings, I'm assuming most of you are still relying heavily on OTAs like Airbnb and booking.com and all of that. Airbnb loves momentum. All tech platforms love momentum, right? So they want to see more and more on there. The more that you can do during slow season, the more the algorithms are going to push you to the top. This is really our approach towards slow season, is really dominating that. Do you guys, I got a question for you. Do you remember how simple we thought hosting was before we got started? I remember when I first got started, I thought that hosting was simple, that I could just put a property up on Airbnb, automate everything, and never have to talk to anybody and just cash checks, right? Although that idea is fun to have, it is just not possible. You know the deal. You got to be on top of your customer service. You got to be on top of your cleaning. You got to be on top of your maintenance, right? Revenue management has a similar learning curve as when you first got started in the space. You have to make this a part of your daily focus and make this a driver within your revenue. Okay. So it's important to recognize that expert revenue management is key. Whether you're in high or slow season, you have to take control of this. Okay. Cash checks or deposit, all that other stuff. Love it. So look, let's recap the three main shifts we covered today that would transform your revenue, your mindset towards revenue. Number one is learn to drive the car, or put the right people in the right seats to drive the car. Okay, this is not something to ignore anymore. So carve out time every day to focus on your revenue management, or focus on hiring the right people that can drive your revenue management, especially if you're in that scaling stage. Number two is your prices during high season may push your comfort level. So be comfortable being uncomfortable. Get out of your own way and really see what the market will dictate. I promise you, if you're not currently doing this, you're going to be surprised at how much people are willing to pay for a better experience. This is not to overcharge people. You have to deliver incredible experiences for people, right? If you go to our website, freewyld.com, you'll see our properties are world-class, and we work very hard at driving the most incredible, memorable experiences. We also, with our revenue management, are trying to find where the market is willing to spend on that experience. And we're just surprised every single day at that. And you guys will be as well. And then number three is being nimble with your rules, terms, guest avatar. Get flexible here, guys. This could bring real results during your slow season. If you only remember one thing, let it be this: revenue management must be a daily priority. It must be a focus for you or somebody on your team. This is what separates the top 1% from the rest. Absolutely obsess over optimizing. You have to optimize your listings. You have to optimize your pricing. Does that make sense, guys? Gabriel knows the deal. Once you're in a business, you don't know what you don't know. Revenue management is one of those things. You don't know what you don't know. Okay. You don't know if you're making the right decisions because you haven't fully taken on revenue management 100%. And you don't know if you're leaving money on the table or not, because the strategy that you currently have is not really showing that. Look, guys, you have really two options here after this training. Option one is what we call the slow path, right? We do a lot of these trainings. We talk to thousands of people all around the world. Option one, the slow path of taking this info. Honestly, most of you after this training will just not implement what we teach here. And it's not because you can't do it. It's because life gets in the way, your business gets busy, and learning a new skill set, learning a new tool within your business and implementing that is a very difficult thing to do. I'm speaking from experience because I am doing quite a bit in my business I've never done before, and it's exciting, but I always look for the fastest path. To me, option two, the fast path, is really leveraging expertise and working with the people who specialize in this stuff. This is what I do in everything. I have a personal trainer for my fitness journey. I have a nutritionist to help me understand my food. I have a business mentor to help me make better decisions in my business. For every other aspect, I look for those expertise. So option two here is what we call the fast path. It's really leveraging our expertise and working with us directly to accelerate results here. This is really tapping into a playbook that's been battle tested across the thousands of listings that we work with. And I know which option I would choose in this position. So picture this. A year from now, you've taken the fast path, your calendar is fully booked, you're up 25% from where you're at last year, your competition's in the rear mirror, you know, you're not worried about that, you're only forward looking, right? It isn't a fantasy. This is actually happening. This is happening for us. This is happening for our clients. And if you guys implement in your business, you can get similar results. Again, regardless if you guys are at one listing, if you're at the side hustle host, hectic host, or the scaling host level, it's all very powerful for you. We want to create this training and communicate to the world what's happening in the industry, what we see and what's working for us across these 1,000 listings that we're working on. And by the way, we're adding about 100 to 200 listings a month right now. We're seeing similar results no matter what market we're in. But we do have a free gift for you guys that I think will impact your business dramatically. If you recognize the incredible upside when you dial in your revenue management and you want to explore this, go to freewildfoundry.com/get-started. Once you go through what we call the revenue growth assessment, this is where we figure out what you need in your business to get into a position where you're driving revenue. If you're already doing $1 million a year or more, we're going to give you guys what's called a free revenue review. This is where I connect you with one of my revenue management experts on our team. We're going to do a deep dive into your portfolio and uncover any revenue leaks. Okay, you may have a pricing tool and strategy. We're going to audit that and see, is it working or are you leaving money on the table? If it makes sense for us to work together, we'll introduce how we do revenue management for the top 1%. For a select few of you, we'll make an offer to do business. If you're doing $1 million or less, we actually take in our exact strategy behind Cashflow Mastery and we put it into a go at your own pace course. It's a full system that we brought hundreds of people through. The idea here is that we want to over deliver for everybody that's on this training here today, right? We want to kind of show you in depth, right? We only had about an hour here together in the Cashflow Mastery program. It goes on to be a 12-week program and will help you really scale your business. If you're in that top 1% doing $1 million or more, once we go under the hood of your business to understand, is there any revenue management opportunities here? We'll make an offer to do business with you from our standpoint as a service to take over your revenue management. Our goal there is to free you up, put you in a position just like Garrett, to focus on the aspects of your business while we drive the revenue in your business. So regardless of where you fall, go through this link, freewildfoundry.com/get-started. And it's a 2-minute form to go through. And regardless of where you end up, we're going to share with you exactly where you need to be focusing on to drive revenue. Okay. And then one last thing is I wanted to share one last case study. So Del Carmen, they're out of Miami. And they came to us, they were in that scale stage. They were doing about 1.5 million in top line bookings in the arbitrage model. The owner of the business was focused on revenue management himself. He's a highly intelligent person. He owns multiple businesses. He had his pricing tool and he was just going there weekly to kind of move things around. He was struggling to make real results in his business. But once he went through our assessment, we recognized where the opportunities were within his business. We brought him on as a client into Freewyld Foundry. We took over his revenue management. Within the first 2 months, we added over $30,000 in bookings for him and revenue for him. And now, over a year working together, his RevPAR is up by 20%, and his revenue, we added $285,000 of brand new revenue to his business. Okay. So these are real results. These are things that are truly possible. It's possible for anyone at the scale stage. And then if you're in the side hustle and hectic host stage, it's possible to add this similar results by going through and implementing our Cashflow Mastery process in your business. Let me get into some questions here and then we'll wrap up shortly. You guys still with me? Excited? Have fun?
So much fun.
Okay, thank you.
Loved it. We actually have a really great question from Gabriel that I think we should start with. He asked, so just to be clear, this is not a full service option, but a revenue optimization service. So can you speak a little bit about what the RPM service looks like?
Yeah, 100%. If you go to this assessment here, it's a free assessment, no strings attached. You fill out the questions that we have there. It's going to lead you to one of two spots. If you're doing $1 million or more, so if you're in that scale host or higher, we're going to direct you to what we call RPM. RPM is our revenue management service This is where we're managing that $40 million of revenue across 1,000 listings. This is where the owners of the company pass us the baton of revenue management, and our team, our revenue managers, will go into the company and lead revenue management. And again, this is a high touch service. We can't bring everybody into that. To qualify for that, you have to do at least $1 million or more in bookings. Now, if you're less than that, what we have done is we've taken our exact strategy of what we implement into our RPM service, and we brought it into what we call the Cashflow Mastery System. It's a 12-week program where we're teaching you step by step what you have to do. So Gabriel, I know that you just have a couple of listings, I believe. This is where you will go through, learn our exact steps, implement it into your business, and drive revenue management for yourself. We have coaching, we have masterminds. We'll get into the details of it. One is done for you, one is done with you. Awesome. Any other powerful questions we should go through?
Yes. Let's see. Well, maybe you can speak to this one. I think this is a common situation that people come across. Waleed asked, so have a great property, 5-star ratings, relatively new properties. Waleed's been a host for 2 months in Dallas. They feel like they have to give deep discounts of 20 to 30% to get guests. All of their bookings are last minute. What would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, so look, there's a couple of different factors that could be affecting this for sure. One is 65% occupancy is pretty good. Of course, there's room to grow there for sure. Giving 20 to 30% discounts, there's going to be a couple of factors there. One is the pricing strategy is not set up correctly for the marketplace. Two, I'm really curious, like how last minute are they coming in? We do this a lot for Freewyld is we will drop our prices strategically for gap dates last minute. Yes, we have a lot of turnover, but now we're driving up revenue and we're driving up occupancy. Also, we have to really understand your marketplace, right? Your market might be a short-term booking window, right? Lastly, we have to look out into the future to understand over the next 90 days, what is driving to the market, right? And how do we position ourselves pricing wise to attract those guests later on? So there's quite a bit that we have to break down there, but at high level, what I would recommend is going through the assessment here and then checking out the Cashflow Mastery. Because once we're in there, we have a mastermind part of the Cashflow Mastery program. Myself and Jasper and our revenue management team will go in once a week and support our clients making adjustments to answer very specific questions like this. So we can go into the weeds of this once you're into the program as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Of course. Thank you. Sweet, sweet. Awesome. So I'm going to wrap up here. And then any questions that we haven't responded to on this call, we're going to do one of two things. We're going to send an email out with a replay of this, and then we'll respond to some of the questions that are in here. And then number two is we'll jump on Instagram. So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, Eric D. Muller, and we'll touch on this and respond to some of these questions as well. Gabriel, good question. I'll leave this as the last question that I'll respond to. He's asking, if I'm using a PM, how much would I benefit from the service? Gabriel, remind me how many listings you have again. I think you have one or two. One. Awesome. What PM do you use?
It's a service or it's a management company called Live Suites.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Familiar with them. Yeah. Look, unless they have it in-house, you becoming that expert and kind of leading through and taking that over is completely fine. We see students do this all the time, and we see operators do this all the time. For example, our properties leverage other property managers in our marketplace to do very specific things. They do our maintenance, our cleaning, our boots on the ground customer service, but we lead our revenue management, marketing, and online customer service. So there's ways to structure this. Revenue management is one of the most important things we as operators need to focus on. If you start generating more money, it's a good thing for everybody. So yeah, fill out the assessment and we'll dive into it and see if we can support you with it. All right, y'all. With all that said, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. Reach out to us. If you have any questions, follow us on Instagram. If you guys enjoyed this, we want to do more of these trainings. From time to time, we may go in very granular. Today was very 30,000 foot view of the problem and the mindset shift for everybody. If you guys are interested in us doing more of these trainings, reach out. Let us know what topics. If you guys join the Cashflow Mastery Program and you're in that mastermind, you'll get access to our live trainings every week. So you can bring up very specific questions. But if you want us to talk on higher end stuff or go granular, just let us know. Follow us on Instagram, reach out to us via email. But most importantly, fill out this assessment. Let us see if we can support you with this. freewildfoundry.com/get-started. And we'll go from there. Appreciate you guys. Rock and roll. Go crush it. And we'll be chatting soon. Appreciate you.